Hello, just a quick little video to talk about the natural colorants that I use for my cold process soap and my bath bombs and bubble bars and how I use them. So we'll just start at the top. The black is activated charcoal. It is very, very good for the skin, detoxifying and healing. It works well in cold process soap. You can add it straight to the soap batter. You don't have to infuse it first. And depending on how much you use, you can make it as light or as dark black as you'd like. It also works well infused in oil and used like with a paintbrush and paint things on bath bombs and bubble bars, like how they use for mica paints. I don't really recommend using it for bath bombs or bubble bars unless you want to use a chemical that will keep it from sticking to the walls of people's tubs. And I'm not into chemicals, but if you are, you can definitely use it for that. You just have to keep that in mind. This gorgeous one here is beet powder. And I've learned that it changes colors completely when you make cold processed soap with it. It becomes like a tannish brown, like the color of sand. It does not keep this beautiful color. But if you want to keep this color, you can infuse it with some oil and use it like a paint as well. And you can paint bath bombs and bubble bars with it, and it will keep that beautiful purpley burgundy color. It does have a smell. It smells like beets. So you want to pick something that can go counteract how that woodsy smell to it, like patchouli, vetiver, cedarwood, sage, something strong and woodsy like that would go well to kind of cover up the smell of the beets. This one here is a pale pink, and it is calamine clay, one of my favorite clays. It's the most helpful clay I think on earth. It works well in bubble bars, bath bombs. You can use it right in the dry ingredients and make a light pink. You can infuse it with oil and paint with it. You can also make it in cold process soap, and it keeps that lovely pink color, and it becomes the most perfect pink in soap. Very healing. It's also in my body powder that I use on my babies. It's very wonderful for diaper rash and any kind of blisters like that. As we all know, it's wonderful for chicken pox or shingles, anything like that. You can make a paste with it with vitamin E and aloe for any kind of horrible rashes that you might have. It's been used for thousands of years. It's one of my favorite clays. I just love calamine. This one here is lemon peel powder. I have not tried making it in soap yet, but I do use it for bath bombs and bubble bars. It can go straight into the dry ingredients. You don't have to infuse it first. And it does have a very faint lemon smell. So keep that in mind and pick an oil that goes with the scent of lemon, and it makes the most beautiful light yellow. It's a little bit different than the way it shows here. It actually turns out pretty yellow when you put it in those things, and it looks so pretty. This one here is like a brick red. This is Hungarian paprika. You definitely want to infuse this one the night before, or at least a few hours before you make cold processed soap. It does not work well if you just put it into the batter like that. It will leave big flecks in there, and it won't turn the right color of orange that you want. So you definitely want to infuse it in some olive or avocado oil or any other light oil that you use in your soap recipe. I recommend putting it in a jar with the lid on for at least a day ahead of time, or at least maybe 4 or 5 hours before you want to use it. All the big chunks will kind of settle to the bottom, and you can use the oil on the top. It makes the most gorgeous light pastel orange color. It is so pretty. This one is turmeric, which I also infuse like a paint in oil. You can paint bath bombs and bubble bars with it. When you use it in cold processed soap, it changes color completely too. It becomes more brick red like the paprika. It becomes like a brownish red. It's very strange, but that's what it does. I use it in one of my bubble bars, and it has a very strong smell. So again, you want to use something very strong that complements it. I use orange and patchouli in my sun shower bubble bar that is colored with turmeric. Excellent as paint too. I wouldn't recommend using it just dry in the dry ingredients of a bath bomb because again, it would probably make a mess in the tub. but put it into bubble bars, it works really well. A little goes a long way. Okay, let's get this to focus. This one here, let's see, this one here is ground sage, which I use 2 different ones to make green. I don't have any of my spinach on hand, but I use organic ground spinach to make a light green, like a pastel green, but the sage I use for olive green. It makes the most perfect olive green. Again, you want to infuse it in oil too, a day ahead of time when you're going to make soap. And it, of course, smells very strong like sage. So you want to work with that. If you're going to make sage soap, it will perfectly go with that, or any other kind of oil that is complementary to sage. It really enhances the smell if you want to make sage soap. It makes very beautiful olive green. This one here is gray. It's a bentonite clay. Again, another wonderfully healing ancient clay that's been used for thousands of years. It makes the most perfect gray in soap. It does not change colors. You can add it to bath bombs and stuff too as well, but you know, most people really don't want a gray one, but it would work like that too. You can also paint with it, but it's perfect in soap. It does not have a smell, so you can feel free to use any kind of scent that you want with it. This next one here is Moroccan Clay. It makes a very nice light brown color. It's like a pastel brown. I use it in my Dancing Horses bubble bar. It's, again, I keep saying this, but all the clays are just so good for you. You can look them up to see all of their benefits. There's many people around the world that take mud baths in this exact clay. So it makes that color of light brown like mud, but it's very, very healing for the skin. You'll have such a nice time when you come out of the bath. You're so soft after you use Moroccan clay. You can also mix it with water, aloe, or anything like that. It makes wonderful clay face masks. Very healing on the face. But again, it makes a very light brown in soap and in bath bombs and bubble bars. And the last one on my plate here is cocoa powder. I use organic cocoa powder for dark brown. It stays the color that it is right here. It makes a nice chocolatey brown to it. And of course, it has the smell of chocolate. So keep that in mind if you make soap with it. You got to go with the scent of chocolate because your soaps will smell like chocolate and they smell wonderful. So keep that in mind if you want to make something with it. You want to use something that works well. Vanillas and things like that. Vanilla oil actually will change your soap too. I didn't have that listed here because I don't use it as a powder, but vanilla essential oil or vanilla resin oil will also color your natural soaps. A very pale, tannish beige brown. And they change. As the soap cures, it just gets more and more swirled and changed. I do not recommend using cocoa powder in bath bombs and bubble bars unless you just want to paint with it. Because again, it's like the charcoal. It will make a real mess in the tub. I learned that the hard way. So some other colorants that are not shown here, I talked about indigo. Indigo is my go-to for blue. Again, you want to infuse it a day ahead of time and use it very sparingly because it makes dark blue really fast. And if you want light blue, you mix the indigo infused oil with some kaolin clay. Kaolin clay is what I use when I need white. And in painting, in any of these natural colorants, if you mix kaolin clay with them, you can make them even more lighter and pastel. It's kind of like painting. If you want a dark color, you add a little charcoal mixed with it and it'll darken it. And kaolin clay mixed with it will lighten it. So this is just a little preview of the things that I use. I'm still experimenting with annatto and alkanet. I know that those are ones that a lot of people use as well, and I'll probably have another video in the future to talk about them and how I use those, because right now I'm still kind of experimenting with them and seeing how I like to use them. But these are all ones that I've tested and tried for a long time, and I know exactly how to work with them. Natural colorants are very changeable. They seem like they change with the seasons. when you cure your soaps in the summer, they're darker, more brighter colors, and then in the winter and the cold, they turn a little bit more pastel as they cure. So it's very interesting. Got to honor the plant and the clay itself and find the best ways that work for you to use them. Thank you for watching. Please check out my other videos and have a wonderful day.